Hello, welcome back. You know exactly what this is, so I'm not going to go too into it. This is a catch-up wrap-up video for the months of June through August 2021, and let's get into some books. I was going through a little bit of a slump in the beginning of the summer, so June and July have very few books, and August started to pick things up again, and I'm back into reading much more now, which I'm very happy about. But starting with the month of June, I read only manga, so the first one was A Man and His Cat, Volume 1 by Umi Sakurai. This is an adorable little slice of life about a man adopting a cat, and it was so cute. I have 2 cats, so obviously I'm going to enjoy a manga about cats, but I think it was really adorable. It was really fun, and so much of it is very relatable as a cat owner myself. If you're looking for something very lighthearted, I would definitely recommend it. It is the sweetest thing, and I plan to continue when more volumes are released. I also read Our Dining Table by Mita. This is an adorable little BL romance about these 2 men coming together over food. It's the sweetest thing as well. It is a 1-volume story, so there isn't a continuation. It's very fast to get through, and it's just adorable and so lighthearted, so cute and amazing. I definitely recommend that as well if you're looking for something lighthearted. Obviously, in June, I was not looking for anything super deep, so I did very well for my first 2 choices for very sweet, light, cute little manga. The third one I tried was Kiss Me at the Stroke of Midnight. I read 2 volumes of this. This is by Rin Mikimoto, and this is a shoujo about a girl who gets noticed by a popular pop star, I think, and it's their little romance. This one I did not care for as much. I did not get along with the male lead at all. He wasn't interesting to me at all. So I decided to DNF it after 2 volumes. Those 2 volumes actually took me a really long time to get through as well because I was not in the mood for reading them. And manga goes really, really fast, so that's saying something. It's not personally for me, but if you like that sort of celebrity romance kind of story, kind of fantasy, then this might work for you. It just didn't really work for me. And that's it for everything I read in June. Obviously, I was not doing well reading-wise, so moving straight into July, I read The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is the 2nd book in the Inheritance trilogy, and I really, really enjoyed it. I like the Inheritance trilogy much more than I liked the 5th season. The Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, that one gets much more acclaim, but I personally, for my own tastes, like the Inheritance trilogy more. They are a trilogy of books that don't really follow one another, like, per se in the exact storyline, but they're all set in the same world. They're all chronologically following. There's just multiple, like, years of time in between all of the books, and you're following different characters in all of the books. It's very interesting. I love the way N.K. Jemisin writes. Her narrative structure is always just unique and different from the norm. I really got along well with the main character in this book, and I was actually very happy to be back in this world. I think it's so fascinating. It's a world where all of the gods live among the people, so the religions there are literally based on gods that can come and talk to them whenever they need it, so it's very unique, and I really enjoyed it. I did end up finishing the series in August, so I'll go a little bit more into it when I get there. Next up, for continuing series, I read the 2nd book in the Fablehaven series. This is Rise of the Evening Star by Brandon Mull. This is a middle grade fantasy, and I have really been enjoying this series. It's so cute. I didn't read it as a, like, middle grade person, whatever the heck that age group is. Pretty young. I didn't read it, my brother did, and he has these books and I'm stealing them to read now because they're really good. Obviously, this is the 2nd book in the series, so I won't go too much into what this is about, but for this series, it follows a brother-sister duo who find out that their grandparents are actually keepers for a preserve for magical creatures. So it has a wonderful adventure fantasy aspect to it. You have these 2 young protagonists who you're following as they're trying to save the world, and it's so cute, so much fun, and the fantasy elements, all of the magical creatures are so interesting. It's really easy and exciting to read, and the kind of mischief that they get up to is just So much fun. I have really been enjoying the series, as you will also see later on in August. More series continuations. I read Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the third and final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, which is a trilogy of romances following a pair of sisters, or a triplet of sisters, I guess? A trio of sisters. There we go. This one follows Eve, who's known as kind of the flighty sister, not really settling down into anything, and her little romance in a quiet little bed and breakfast, I think it was. It was very adorable. I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Eve as a character. I enjoyed the main lead. Talia Hibbert writes really amazing contemporary romance where both of the leads end up communicating and actually having a healthy relationship in the end, which is so nice to see. I've enjoyed all three of the books in this series. I'm very happy I read them, and if you are into romance, you want some contemporary romance with some sweet male leads, I would definitely recommend them. I also read NG Life Volume 4 by Mizuho Kusanagi. You do not have any idea how many times I've tried to say that without slowing down. It doesn't work. I literally just cannot switch from English to Japanese that quickly. It doesn't work. This series is about a group of characters who lived and died in Pompeii and were then reincarnated into modern day Japan, except some of them have their memories and some of them don't. So it's a very interesting continuation of their friendships and their struggles from their lives in Pompeii transferring over to their lives in Japan. It's kind of a slice of life, but it also has that sort of fantasy element of them being alive in Pompeii, and it's a lot of fun. It's very interesting. There are a lot of different characters, a lot of different storylines, and I'm enjoying it. I am not dying to read it at the moment, so I haven't continued with it actually, but I do plan to finish it at some point in the future. And again, that's all I read for July. Moving straight into August, I finished the whole The Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. So that includes the final book, which was The Kingdom of Gods, I think? Yes, The Kingdom of Gods. The novella was The Awakened Kingdom, and the short story collection was The Shades of Shadow, I think. Nope. The Shades in Shadow. I read them all basically back to back because I wanted to finish out the series, and I still really enjoyed the series. The third book was not my favorite of the trilogy. I think it just tried to cover too many things at once. It was a really, really big book. And there was a lot of things happening in it that I feel like started to get lost because of all the other things that were happening. So I felt like that could have been organized a little bit better. Either just trying to cut some things out or move some things into different books or like different side stories, because there is a novella that follows it and a short story collection that also follows. So it could have been done in a more organized way than I felt the third book was. But that being said, I still really enjoyed it. I really like this series. I really like the world and all of the characters. I like the way that everything functions. It's very interesting to me. A lot of it is very politically driven as well as sort of religious, because all of the gods are there living among the people, and it makes for a very interesting dynamic between the people who are worshipped and the worshippers. And again, N.K. Jemisin's writing is just incredible the whole way through. And the narrative structure in all three books is a little bit different, and it always brings a little twist into the story, and I really, really like it. I know people like the Broken Earth trilogy better, but I personally prefer the Inheritance trilogy. I think that's just because I don't really care for post-apocalyptic, and that's what the Broken Earth was, so the fact that this was a sort of fantasy setting with some political drama and gods just made it more of a fit for me. If you've tried the Broken Earth trilogy and it wasn't for you, I would recommend picking up the Inheritance trilogy and seeing if that works a little bit better. It's a little bit more of a straightforward fantasy in that respect. It's still a little bit tweaked because it's N.K. Jemisin and you can't really expect anything less, but it's a lot easier to get along with, in my opinion. Next, I read Maskerade by Terry Pratchett. This is the 18th book in the Discworld series, and I think this is one of my favorites that I've read so far in my read-through of Discworld. I really, really enjoyed it. This is a kind of parody on the Phantom of the Opera, as you could probably guess, and I personally really love the Phantom of the Opera and the musical, so it's not surprising that I also really like this, because it's basically Phantom of the Opera plus Terry Pratchett's ridiculous humor. So I couldn't not like it. It was really, really good. Except every single time that I see the cover of this book or that I pick it up to read it, I just end up with Maskerade stuck in my head, the song from the musical. It doesn't go away. Every single time I look at this cover, it's just in my head forever. So that's fun. But also, I really enjoyed this book. I think if you are a fan of the musical, if you're a fan of the music, you would also really enjoy this book. I don't know how similar it is to the book that the musical is based off of, because I haven't read the actual Phantom of the Opera, but for what this is, I really, really enjoyed it. This is part of the Witches series, in case you were wondering, and while I generally like the Witches books, this is definitely my favorite of the Witches books so far. That might change when I finally get to Tiffany Aching, which is also technically part of like the Witches series, but it's also its own series, and I know for sure I really love Tiffany Aching, because that's how I started in Discworld. But we'll see when I get there. I also continued on in the Fablehaven series with the third book, which is Grip of the Shadow Plague by Brandon Mull. Again, a very fun adventure time story with a wonderful set of characters, your two young protagonists who are just so fun to follow around, and this magical world of all of these different creatures. You get introduced to more creatures in this book, and it's a lot of fun. So far, each of these books have had their own little kind of dungeon traveling or like going through different challenges that has been very fun if you're really into like adventure style D&D sort of storylines. I think children would like this a lot. There's a lot of action constantly, and the two main characters, you will probably relate to one or the other, if not both, in some respects. So I think it's a really good one for children as well as for adults, because I'm really liking it. I did not imagine that I would be this into a middle grade, but then again, I also really like the jumpies, so maybe middle grade actually is for me, and I just never knew. I am really happy that I picked this up, and I would recommend it, even if you aren't a middle grade reader. If you like some fantasy, try and pick it up. One of the characters does get a little bit annoying in some respects, because he just doesn't listen to what he's told ever. Plus, his character is just like what you would expect of a small boy, so it's fair enough. It just gets a little bit annoying. Anyway, still very, very good. I read two little romance novellas that were in the same series, which were Scandalized by a Scoundrel and Deceived by a Duke. Both of these are by Erin Knightley and is part of her All's Fair in Love series. These are just really, really cute little short stories about romance and historical romance. It's so adorable. They're very innocent, so if you don't like the whole, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to romance, then these are very good to go for. They're super sweet, and I really love the characters that Erin Knightley portrays in her stories. They're so interesting and well-rounded and strong in their own ways. I really, really enjoyed this series. I wasn't expecting to. This is one of the authors that I found through one of the collections of romance novellas that I read. Which one was it? I'll put it up here, because I read it earlier in the year or maybe last year, and I wrote down some notes of which series I wanted to continue out of that, and this is one of them, and I'm very happy I did, because I really, really enjoyed all of these novellas. I say that because I finished the series. I just finished the last novella in September, so I'll get more into that later when I actually do my September wrap-up. But for now, the first three novellas in the series were very, very good, and I would highly recommend them. And then last up, I have a couple nonfiction books, because I have gotten into herb gardening all of a sudden. I have a very brown thumb. I cannot keep anything alive. I don't know why I'm trying to grow herbs, but I am. I have already killed many, but that's besides the point. I wanted to read up and try and figure out, like, what the heck to do, because obviously I'm not doing it right. So I've read a couple books. I'm still reading some more, but the two that I went through in August were Indoor Kitchen Gardening by Elizabeth Millard and The Container Gardener's Handbook by Frances Tophill. Of the two, I preferred Indoor Kitchen Gardening just because it was more relevant for me, because I was trying to grow herbs indoors in my kitchen, I guess. The Container Gardener's Handbook is a little bit more generalized for other plants and for also outdoors, because you can grow different plants in containers outdoors. So I had a little bit more advice for like if you're growing on patios or out in sunlight. versus what I was looking for, which I don't have a patio, so I'm not growing anything outdoors. Everything is indoors in my kitchen kind of living room area. So for me personally, the kitchen book, I already forgot the title of it, that was a little bit more relevant for me, also because it had a specific section for herbs, which is what I am specifically trying to grow. So obviously they're going to be made for different purposes. If you're looking for a general container book, the second book is a valid option. I think it is helpful. It had some good insight that I still was able to get information from. If you're looking more for growing like edibles inside your kitchen specifically, the first one is a lot more suited for that, obviously, because it's a little bit more niche. So just depending on if you're even interested in these books at all, look into what they're about and see what would be more suitable for you. You don't need to read both of them. There's a lot of repeat information. So just try and find one that is more specific to what you're looking for, I would recommend. Obviously, I didn't do that, and I have a lot more books that I went through trying to figure out how not to kill everything. So I will go more into those in September because I have a long list. I have probably another 5 that are checked out from the library, not including the ones I already finished. These are ones I haven't even started. So you'll hear more on that later, as if you were interested in herb gardening in my booktube channel. It's fine. It's totally fine. So that is everything that I read from June through August. Not that much, thinking about 3 months, but again, I was in a slump, and I was also just very, very busy. I don't know if you noticed, but I am in a different location. I actually moved apartments in end of July. So I was very busy for that reason. I also switched jobs at the beginning of June. So kind of makes sense that I wasn't reading as much because I was just so tired and so busy. That's a little bit of a life update for me if you were interested. Another little update, I've created a coffee. So if you want to support me there, I will leave the link below. My current goal on my coffee is to raise enough money to buy some new lights because if you couldn't tell, I probably edited it all out, but my light has died 4 times in the filming of this video. It's not even a long video, so I need some new lights. So if you'd like to help me toward that cause, I would be very, very grateful. Otherwise, I'm hoping, again, every single time I've made a catch-up wrap-up, I've said this, that I'm hoping that I can be more consistent in my wrap-ups and not have to go through all of the books all at once. But we've seen my track record for the past 1.5 years, so I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm putting it out there that I would like to get back to regular videos. Now that I'm a little bit more settled, I'm a little more into my job, I have completely moved into my apartment, other than, I guess you can see the shadow there of my TV that needs to be mounted. It's fine. It's fine. It's livable. So I'm hoping to get back to videos. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you smiled today and that you're reading a great book. We'll see you later. Bye! By Mizuho. I also read Jesus Christ. By Mizuho Kusanagi. Mizuho Kusanagi. I swear I'm gonna get it. By Mizuho Kusanagi. By Mizuho